So at the beginning of January, we went back to the house in Italy, and we were there in order to kind of start all the cleaning work before the building contractor and the architects come to have a look at the place. And we opened the front door and walked into what's the kind of kitchen come living area downstairs. And the stove, which is probably about 40 years old, maybe a lot older, was in the middle of the room. And this was a surprise because it was disconnected from the pipe in the corner of the room next to the big fireplace. And the pipe was still connected to the wall and hanging down, the big stove pipe. But the actual stove itself, which is very heavy, was in the middle of the room. And we were like, what the hell is that doing there? And then we thought, oh my God, has somebody come in? So we had a look round, and it looked like doors and cupboards had been kind of like opened or left open. Some we thought we might have done because we'd been already emptying out some stuff into boxes and clearing the house of the previous owner's contents. But some things looked like they had been moved around. We'd obviously already started work, so a lot of things were being packed into boxes and put into the cellars downstairs. Then we went and checked upstairs, and we looked all around, and it did look again like somebody had been in, but there was no sign of a break-in. I mean, literally, it just looked like somebody gone in with a key or something. No signs of anything at all. And upstairs, the only things that were missing were actually ours. We'd taken a couple of nice antique chairs that we already own, which are Italian, and we'd taken them there so that, you know, when we have a bit of a break, we can sit out on the balcony and have a snack in the sunshine. And they were missing. Thankfully, we hadn't left our tools. I mean, we'd left like plastic boxes with cleaning products in them, rubber gloves, sponges, detergent, you know, this kind of stuff, floor cleaner. But we hadn't actually left any tools or our toolboxes or anything like that. So we were a bit shocked and surprised. Luca immediately called the previous owner. So he called actually the son of the owner. And spoke to him and said, look, you know, totally fine, but did you come in? Because, you know, we've bought the house and you wanted to leave the contents, you wanted us to clear it, right? So technically, everything that's in here now is actually ours. But, you know, if you accidentally missed something that you wanted to take from the things that you did take, you know, just let us know. Anyway, the son of the previous owner said that he hadn't been in. Of course, he gave us the keys, and he sounded very genuine. But he said he would call some other people who maybe had access to the place and also double check. And we made the point that the only things that were taken were actually ours. They weren't left with the house. And also that somebody had tried to remove the stove, presumably because a stove, even if it's 40, 50 years old, is pretty useful, especially at the moment. But there's an energy crisis in Europe, in Italy. Fuel prices, wood, everything has gone up significantly. A stove is relatively useful. We then thought, okay, we have to report it to the police because, okay, it's not anything significant in terms of a loss, but we actually need to report that there was a break-in. Maybe there were others in the area, and it's just important that it's noted. So we went to the local cafe and asked them about where the nearest police station was, briefly told them about the situation. We went down to the police station. They were not available. It was like a half day because it was some kind of public holiday. So we rearranged to go back a couple of days later and report it to them. We then went back to the police station, made a made a kind of a report with the policeman, explained the situation. It turned out, well, I mean, they're not sure, but before Christmas, because we bought the house and completed around the 5th or the 6th of December, and were there pottering backwards and forwards, probably until the 21st, 22nd, but then we're not there over the Christmas period. And that is apparently when a number of properties were hit in the area. So they just try as many properties as they can in terms of breaking in and taking anything that's useful. The only thing was, of course, it didn't look like there were signs of a break-in. And it was a lesson for us because we did not change the locks immediately. It was on our list of things to do. There were many things to do. And also, it was just before Christmas. So we rushed through doing lots of different bits and pieces, but we hadn't managed to go to the hardware store to buy new locks and to change the locks. That's a lesson. We probably should have done that the very first day. It still doesn't mean that actually your house is not going to get broken into. It does happen. But there is a possibility, of course, that those keys, you never know who's lived in a house. You buy a house, you don't know who had access to it, who might have had access to the keys and got a copycat or so on. We then went immediately, after speaking to the police, we went immediately to the hardware store, bought some locks and changed the locks. And we feel a little bit better about it now. But we also decided to take some advice from the policeman at the police station and asked him generally about security for the area, what he recommended, is it worth having an alarm system, and so on. And we can maybe report back on that a little bit as the project goes forward in terms of what we think is useful from a security perspective.